Aloha, everyone. Welcome to The Path of Me. I'm your host, Wendy Hutchinson. And my guest today is someone I connected with through a magazine that she was putting out a while ago. This was several years ago, called The Missing Piece magazine. I was fortunate to be a contributor to her magazine as a writer, but she has since moved on to bigger and better things. She has an incredible history helping hundreds of people around the world with her expertise in publishing, marketing, and book launch experience. She has been a best-selling author internationally 19 times over, which is so incredible, Kate.
Thank you.
That journey. You've helped over 500 authors hit the Amazon bestsellers list, helping them to build extremely successful businesses through the power of publishing. But you're so much more. You've got a beautiful family that you're committed to, husband, two beautiful kids, grandkids, and just I could go on and on. But let me just introduce you. Welcome, Kate Batten, all the way from the UK. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, all the way from the UK. Thank you so much for having me. It's so lovely to actually have this conversation with you, you know, because we've worked together through social media, we've communicated.
Yes.
But when you actually finally connect, it's just such a beautiful thing. So thank you.
There's a beautiful spark. So I'm just so grateful.
You're welcome.
For time today. Thank you for carving out a little bit of time in your busy life.
You're welcome.
So we were just talking before we jumped on the show about how you have recently, maybe in the past 3 years, just really gone through this huge shift in how you live your life, what you've invited in, who you're becoming, the work that you feel passionate about. You have such an incredible history, but let's just start there because you have just been going through some incredible changes, and I'm going to turn it over to you and let you talk about that.
Oh, incredible changes. I think it all really started because I was on this journey of being a publishing consultant, building other people's businesses through the power of books, teaching them how to publish, how to get on the bestsellers list overnight on a book launch. I was doing all this 100 million miles an hour. And then something happened in my life and in my family's life that brought us to a full stop. It's something that you never think could possibly happen to you. And that was a death in the family, and it happened to be a child. And we didn't expect it. It wasn't expected, and it was like living a nightmare, and our entire life got put on hold. It was an experience that I never want to relive again. My first grandson passed away at birth. My daughter went into premature labor, and we rushed through to the hospital. We took her through there, and because there was a delay of me not being able to get there, on the way there, I just turned up at the hospital and I got a phone call from my daughter to say that she delivered him and he'd passed away and they couldn't resuscitate him. So that was my life just completely on hold. I didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to curl in a ball, forget about the world. But I was a coach. I was a coach to these people who were relying on me to build their success and build their fame and build their following. And I didn't want anything. I just shut down. And I said,
imagine.
I don't want anything to do with this right now. I can't handle it. But because they were so fame hungry, didn't care. And they was demanding, well, I've paid you, so I want you to do my book sales. I've paid you, so I want you to do my book launch. And it really made me awaken to what mattered in life, because I'd just been through that experience, and I had walked out of that hospital knowing that I would never see my grandchild again. And my daughter had just lost her first son, and somebody was emailing me to find out about their book launch and book marketing. And I'd told them what I'd gone through, but they ignored it.
Zero compassion.
And it really awakened me. So I started writing. I started writing 12 hours after he died. And I wrote viciously for 15 days because I had to get it out of my system.
Yeah.
And I would sit here while the sun came up. I'd sit here at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, and I was writing every detail that was going on in our lives at that particular time. And it was such a relief to get it out of my system as well. And each day then I started to live with the grief and got through it. But I was going through incredible changes. And spiritually, I was getting deeper and deeper and deeper into my spiritual work. So I looked at my life and I was like, what is really important? What is really important right now? You know, I've just lost a child in my family. Nothing seemed to matter at that point. You know, when little things came to me and someone's like, well, I need this doing. And I'd be like, I don't care. It's not important.
Right.
Life is so fragile, and I've just experienced that. So you're coming to me and whinging about a little thing, and it's like, it's not important. So I started to awaken to all that, and I started to realize what was really dragging at my soul. And I was like, well, life's too fragile. It can be taken away. And I've just experienced that. My daughter's just experienced that. So how do I want to go forward in life? And then a question popped into my head. What makes me truly happy? And that just circled my head for quite a few months. And then we got to New Year's Eve. The clock struck 12, and I was like, that's it. Everybody else is making resolutions to lose weight, to exercise more, blah, 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 the usual bullshit that they usually do every year.
Right.
I'm going to sit here after what I've just experienced, and I am not going to go a day forward without doing anything that doesn't make me happy. And that became my life motto. And the more that I lived it and started taking it seriously and placing it into my life, I was pulling out of all these important things that really did not make me happy no more. And in that transition, I was like, what can I do? Excuse me. What can I do in my life right now to actually take things out of it? And I was looking in the areas that I was working on, and I thought, I'm not happy in this, I'm going to take it out. I'm not happy in this, I'm going to take it out. And I'm not happy in this either, I'm going to take it out. So at the time, I took up a hobby of sewing. We do some things in grief when we're going through grief, and mine happened to be sewing. I get lost in sewing for hours. It used to just take my mind away. And then I just came up with this idea one day. I was like, I want to donate my wedding dress, because just after I got married. I want to donate my wedding dress to one of these charities that turn wedding gowns into baby burial gowns. That's what I want my wedding gown to go to in memory of my grandson, David. I want to do that. So I called round all of the charities, and they said, we're too overworked. We're too overworked. And as usual, that's basically God saying to you, no, I want you to do it, because only is he? So now I want you to do it. I'm making sure that they're all packed up. And
the universe has a way of nudging us and guiding us, right?
Yeah, and I must have contacted at least 4 of them, and they're like, sorry, no, we're backlogged.
Wow.
And I was like, staring at my wedding dress, and I was like, I really want to do this, because I want to send them to the hospital where David was born, because they don't have this, because they struggled in that time to dress him, and the nurses were running around flapping all over the place going, we haven't got no clothes for him. And then they came in with this tiny little doll suit that we had to squash him into, and it was not a very nice thing to have to go through. So that stuck with me. The fact that I couldn't get round any of these wedding dress charities that wouldn't take my gown because they were all full. It's like, well, you've started sewing. Why don't you do it? I don't know how to do this. I haven't got. The thing
I know about you, Kate, is you are amazing, because you get an idea and you run with it and you figure it out. Always figure it out. You didn't know how to create a magazine, and
I didn't.
You had the Missing Piece magazine for a few years. That was one thing that was pushed to the side when you had grandson, and understandably so. But you were amazing in figuring out how to do the layouts and how to get it out there, and you created a brand, you know.
I know.
Put your mind to something. It's amazing what you can accomplish. So I know you have a couple samples. I want you to hold them up and show people
sure.
Creating.
So the story was, as I was saying, I didn't have a clue how to do it. And I was like, well, you've just started sewing. You do it. The charities don't want you because you've got to be the charity. You've got to do it in your spare time. So I watched thousands of hours of YouTube videos constantly watching
Which is
them.
amazing.
And then I started making them.
Oh, so cute.
And then I actually started making them myself.
Oh my gosh.
And people, I started sharing pictures of them on social media, telling the story behind why I was doing it in my spare time.
Oh my gosh, it's so tiny. So cute.
Thank you. And they get smaller the less material that I use.
Right.
But I put the word out on social media, and then all of a sudden people kept contacting me. I've got a wedding dress. I can donate it to you. I've got a wedding dress. Let me put some light on. There you go. Dress. I'll donate it to you. I've got a wedding dress. I'll donate it.
So now you're getting this influx of wedding gowns coming from all over the place, right?
Absolutely. And then a lady who owns a wedding event actually reached out to me and she says, I want to send you 9 wedding gowns. I'm
oh my gosh. Wow.
So I had this big box that came from America. I took out 9 massive ball gowns. I mean, my office closet looks like a wedding gown shop.
Wow.
It does. You could all come round and borrow a wedding dress for the day. I've got that many.
That's incredible.
It all came to me, and then I just started making them. So I've done quite a lot of transformations. And from one wedding dress, you can get up to like 14 or 15 gowns.
And so you connected with the hospital and you
I've done all that.
When you're finished. And
so the overall goal is to dress 100 babies myself per year. So I've actually done 65 gowns now in the space of October last year. So yeah,
it's amazing.
And that's just doing it on weekends.
And that's a hobby. That's not what you're doing in your
exactly
time life. That's something you kind of do on the side. I know Kate's fighting a little cold, so bear with her through the coffee, but she's gonna stick with us.
I'm gonna stick with it. I'm suffering from bronchial cold, so it's been with me for like 3 weeks now, but it has to go by itself.
Yes, it's on its own time.
On its own time, but it's like everything else, you just soldier on. So yeah.
So that kind of helps you facilitate the healing and heartbreak. I think being able to take something so powerful and impactful and devastating and turn it into something where you're actually giving back is a full way to deal with grief. And probably your example is helping others who have lost their loved ones, showing them there's a way out of the darkness.
Absolutely.
It takes time.
I'm at a place now where it's accepted what happened. I talk about it. I write about it. I help other people through it. But everything that happens to us for a reason. It doesn't matter how bad or how destroying or how heartbreaking it is. It all comes for a reason. It's all happening for a reason. And it's really up to us to work out why. Put into place the steps how we can help other people through what we've experienced. So that's what I did, and that's just my hobby, just helping other people through that. And I'm on a mission to dress them 100 baby angels per year now.
You're going to meet that mark pretty quickly, I think, the way you're going.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't want to make it too high. I just wanted to make it
manageable. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I know you did some other things too. You had to decide what direction you were going to go once you let the magazine go and kind of stepped from helping authors. What was the next thing you did? What was the next step in your evolution?
So where we are right now is I'm just finishing writing my next book, which is called It Takes Teamwork to Make the Dream Work. So it's really about me and my publishing team writing a book together about all the aspects of teamwork, what has really come up for us, and my transition as well. Excuse me. And my transition as well. And I wrote a book last year, Missing Piece of Spirituality, which is taking me through the journey of my spirituality growing as well. So that's where I come out as well in my writing, because I'm an author. And it was really looking, after going through all of this and experiencing the stuff with David, deciding what I'm going to do to make myself happy. I was like, right, what can I do now? Because I'm in that life rule of I'm only going to do what makes me happy. So I started pulling out everything that made me miserable. And one thing that made me miserable was publishing consulting. Because I was building everybody else's success and not building my own book.
Right.
Not writing my own books, because I'd done a book series, the Missing Piece book series, and it's 12 books long, all bestsellers, and then I put it on hold because I became a consultant, and then I was building everybody else's business and everybody else's success and everybody else's fame, and sometimes I was caught in the middle of these people that just wanted to be famous and didn't want to do any work, and drama mamas, and that grew. And I was like, got to the point with all the experience I was going through and my spirituality growing and choosing only to do what I was going to make myself happy from now on, that I was like, this isn't making me happy. I started out in this online industry as a life coach and somebody that was bringing the best out of people. And then I started writing books, fell into publishing consultant because I thought I had to go that way, because people were asking me, how do you do it? And as usual in the coaching industry, you're told if you know how to do something, charge for it and make it a service. So I did. And it took me on the road of
What did it feel like when you were able to let that go?
Oh my gosh. I took my dog for a walk and I was skipping. Because suddenly I had just quit. And I hadn't just quit doing something that I hated. That morning, everybody else's responsibility of everybody's fame was no longer my problem. So I went outside and I was like, yeah. I was skipping while I was walking the dog, and I was like,
I'm curious, as you start things that don't align with you, as you start cutting all that weight, because we're like, every time we take something on that's really not in alignment with our truth and our soul, it's like attaching a huge rubber tire with a strap to our back. We're trying to go forward, but we're like pulling all of this weight, whether that's people, experiences, work, family members, drama. We're taking on all of this stuff because we think we have to.
Yes, we do.
And we really don't.
Nope.
We don't. Our number one, in my opinion, and I'd love your 2 cents, our number one priority should be exactly what you're doing, which is finding joy, living in alignment, and sparking something within us that we can share others.
Exactly. And that is what's missing so much in this industry now, in the online industry, because people are too bothered about how many followers and how many likes they've got on a post, rather than the influence that they're placing upon the people that are following them. So when you have your fake influencers and the fake Instagram filters and all of this jazz, it's creating a fake world. And that influence that you're placing upon the person who's looking at you, who's probably a few years behind you, that wants all these dreams and aspirations, is looking at fakeness, is following a fake influencer, and then is going to become fake themselves, which is a really downfall in this industry, and it stinks. And I could just remember that day walking my dog, like I said, and I was skipping, and I was like, when was I last like this? Oh yeah, when I was just a life coach.
Years ago, right? Years.
Before all of the titles, before all of this, before, people awarding me the best life coach of this and blah, 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 and 20 best-selling books, and being a publishing consultant and helping TV personalities with their books. Who was I? I was this happy person.
Yeah.
Because all that crap and all them drama mamas took over my life, and I let it.
Right, that's the thing, is we allow it in, we're making the choice, right? So it's so beautiful that you had the courage to just say, no, I'm done.
I did, and then that was one of the strong principles I put in this book, because this is actually my journey and my principles that I put into my life after David's death, and it's all in here. From picking myself up off the ground to going forward and really standing in my spiritual power and living these principles. So I wrote them all down so that people could read what helped me and what got me through it. Excuse me.
It's okay.
And one of the principles was humble yourself. So I'm really, really strict about that. You've got to humble yourself. You've got to be grounded. So I thought, how can I humble myself? All right, a big leader like me, how can I humble myself? I thought, I'm going to go get a part-time job and I'm going to go work under somebody. They're not going to know who I am. They ain't going to know what I've achieved. I'm going to work underneath them. So I did.
What did you do? I'm curious. What kind of job did you take?
I actually did lunchtime supervisor. I still got it now. Lunchtime supervisor at a little school.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so great.
None of the team know who I am. There's only one person who follows me on Instagram, and she doesn't tell the other team who I am because I've asked her not to.
Right.
So I'm going there in the morning for an hour and a half, and I get ordered round by this 4'3" woman who is in charge of me, and I let her do it, and I love it. I love it because she looks at me and she goes, "You go do that. You go do that. You go do that." Wicked. I don't have the responsibility.
Oh, wow. Probably interact with all these kids, right? Which is kind
Absolutely. It's humbling. And that is what I needed to do to get my feet back on the ground after working with what I did. And really be in that moment where I was doing what made me happy. And it was that effect of dog. I was walking on a high going, oh my gosh, I've just walked out of there, done 90 minutes work, got paid for it, get a salary, and I don't have to do anything else. I was like,
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I still got that job now. So that's what I do for 90 minutes on a lunchtime. And I love it. And I thought, right, what can I do now?
That's so cool. What other principle can you share with us? I know you don't want to give the whole book away, but maybe there's a couple of principles you can share that have been really impactful for you.
Oh, absolutely. Principle of humanity, being connected with humans, being very connected, that nobody's below you. You're all on the same level. Apart from those that supervise you, like my boss at work now, she's my boss. You have to honor them and respect them. But everybody who's follows you, just be relatable. Be humane instead of feeling like you're entitled.
Elevated or something, yeah.
Because that was one of my problems. This book is basically from me being a fame-chasing asshole to becoming down to earth with a big bump. That's what that is. And it's like I will blatantly say to people, yeah, I was a fame chaser. It nearly ruined my marriage. It nearly lost me my kids. It nearly made me broke. It nearly killed me. And it's all in that book.
Mm-hmm.
But
those experiences are exactly what our soul needs to come back to ourselves.
Absolutely. And being humane.
If we don't experience that, then we wouldn't have had the lesson, right?
Just being humane. That's all it is. One of the principles is be humane, and one of the other principles is be patient. The principle of patience. That's because tough. Everybody wants it now.
Right.
Everybody wants it now, and it don't work like that.
Right.
And I had to be patient. I had to learn to go stand in that room and get ordered around by a woman who didn't have a clue who I was, and just stand there and shut up and do it. No, it's hard for me.
I run
a team. I run a team. It's people who come to me for their problems. It's me that deals with the issues. It's me that runs projects. It's me,
Right.
And I had to just stand there and I loved it. I just loved it.
That's so powerful. That's so powerful. How did this shift and change your personal relationships? Because all of a sudden, where your attention was, focused on chasing the dream, whether that was financial or fame or influence or whatever it was, how did your relationships change with the people around you when you started to come back and really connect to the human aspect of the human?
Oh, so different. Absolutely so different. I was so this is where the next leg of the journey comes in, because I was starting to recognize how isolated people were. and how they didn't honor their relationships. And that's another principle in my book, the principle of honor. And we don't realize that we have to honor those people around us. We have to actually honor them. We have to respect them. We have to love them. We have to be curious about what they're doing and be social with them, and actually not place the focus on us. And we have to place the focus on them. So it was something in my marriage that I learned.
Right.
Honoring my husband, be the wife that he deserves. And something magical happened, because the more that I lived that principle, now this is a good thing for marriages that are in trouble. Mine was in trouble because I was chasing the fame and I wouldn't listen to him. Right. So we was on a rocky patch. But the more that I learned to honor him and respect him and love him, he turned into an amazing person because of
people
what I
respond to that, right? It's like fertilizing and watering the garden. The garden grows, right? When you put it there and start to love and nurture. And I think maybe people, especially in partnerships, your partner, they want to be heard and valued, acknowledged, seen, right? And
absolutely.
You started to really pay attention to that, and he started to respond in beautiful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What I was planting, the seed that I was planting, he was blooming from. Beautiful. And he was growing into such a great man. And I was like, wow, this shit really works.
You're like, this is a magic bullet. I'm going to put this in my book.
It is, but
something's happening here.
When you become more and more spiritually enlightened, and you're sticking to these principles, they're the seeds that you're planting, and then it opens up before your eyes, and you're like, oh,
wow,
wow,
miracles can happen, right?
Absolutely.
So your husband started to expand in beautiful ways, and in turn, he probably shifted how he was relating to you, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because I was planting different seeds. I was no longer planting the seeds of, I'm the businesswoman, I'm the leader, I'm so important.
I'm the alpha, right?
Instead, I turned into, what should I cook you for dinner tonight? Are we going to spend some time this evening and just sit down and talk? It was like, who are you and what have you done with my wife? Boy, it worked. It worked. And I got brought down to earth with a bump. And I love the new person I am, because the new person I am now doesn't feel like I'm above anybody else or, talk down to anybody else. I will talk to everybody, and I will even get ordered around by somebody who doesn't even know me anymore, doesn't even know me outside of that area or know what I've done. Right. And I will just stand there and I will accept.
I love it that you kept going even after you learned the lesson. You just kept the job and you kept going, Just a reminder.
I think I kept it because I thought, I don't want to walk away from this and lose what I've become, because this is what's turned me into having my feet on the ground, being humble, doing what made me happy. So that job has got a lot to be thankful for, not just for a salary, but for the salary was the bonus, but for who it's made me become and who it makes me become every day, because I am watching my supervisor, because like I said, I've just wrote a book on teamwork.
I'm sure you're rubbing off on her, just her being around you, how you carry yourself and live your life. There's this ripple effect, that we don't even realize we're having on the people around us when we're just living our lives and how we carry ourselves in our lives. People notice,
Yeah. When I was writing the book, I was first writing the book, and I was writing all the aspects of what it takes to be a good leader, team leader, all of that jazz, writing it down, and then I got that job. And I walked into the room and I watched her doing everything that I'd just written. And I was like staring at her like that, trying to not look. I'm staring at her. I'm like, right. Okay, what's going on here? Because I've just written all this, and it's all in reality in my face. And I kept staring at her, but didn't want her to think that I was staring at her, because I couldn't
process it. You're like, something's happening here.
Exactly. I couldn't understand the process of what was happening because I'd just written it. It's like writing a film and then watching it.
Right.
I was like, I can't, I can't stop staring. But she doesn't even know. She doesn't even know. And I'm finishing the book off now. And I think I might put her in the last chapter and then gift her it for Christmas.
Oh my gosh. That'll be so great.
And then let her come back and watch her face go.
That's going to be incredible.
She's actually what I've written. And I thought, okay, so why is this coming into it? I made this choice. I'm only going to do what's going to make me happy. Everything has a reason. What's happening? So I thought to myself, all right, I'm quitting publishing consulting. I want to start bringing that interactiveness in person. Like I'd done with my relationships, I now want to bring it to other people. So this is where I'm moving forward, bringing my business more or less offline and creating events for people who've got social anxiety, who feel isolated, or for mums in every different aspect of motherhood, because there's many different aspects of motherhood. There's when you have a baby, when you have a 10-year-old, when you have a teen, when your children have flown the nest. So I wanted to work with mothers, create events, but create events that are fun. And we're only just going to go have fun, and we're all going to learn how to be social again and build relationships again. And that's what I'm moving on to.
And that means interaction, human interaction, not Facebook interaction, but actual human one-on-one, face-to-face
interaction.
Building an interaction. I feel it's a lost art, don't you?
Absolutely. And that's why I questioned, because everything's a lesson. Okay, every situation we're put in is a lesson.
Right.
So I was in this situation where I was watching my book unfold before my eyes, which was like weird.
Right.
And I was like, what is this teaching me? And then the event idea came up, and I was like, you're stood in this position right now because you're watching her to see how she interacts in person to lead a team so that you can learn from her so that you can go do it yourself. And I was stood there and I was just watching her. And she doesn't even know that she mentors me every single day.
Right.
So I'm looking at how she deals with stuff. And
so
how
powerful.
And it's an amazing little team that she's got, and it's amazing little actions that she takes. She has a little meeting at the beginning to give the orders, and then meets again at the end so that we can talk about what's happened during the shift. And I was just looking at her and the way that she interacts with people and communicates, and I was like, you're here because she's your mentor and she doesn't even know it yet.
And this isn't a school setting. This isn't some corporate boardroom.
No.
Someone who's supervising like lunch at a school, which is so incredible. Like we really need to honor our teachers.
Yeah.
You'll never know where you're going to find them, right?
Exactly. You never know when your next mentor is going to be. It could be in the little school hall at lunchtime. It could be in the nearest library. Someone's having a book club and organizing it all and showing you. And it's how you learn, and it's you questioning, what is this meant to be teaching me right now?
Always. It's always that question. That's the most powerful question. And then being open to ourselves and go, I'm getting the exact lesson that I need right now.
Exactly, and she's my lesson.
Accepting it and not resisting it and going, I don't have that problem. I don't need to. We always do. It always comes back to us, right?
I remember them days, and I am so glad I am not that person anymore.
Right. That's how you've gone through this whole evolution, is being open to it.
Oh, absolutely. I write about it. I talk about it, but I don't hide it. And it's like, here you are. This is me. Have it.
Yes. And isn't it freeing when you can be your authentic self and just know who you are? I found the more I could align, the less other people's opinions of me mattered.
Oh, absolutely.
And then when you release that, it gives you this freedom to be yourself even more, because you realize their opinions are a reflection of them. Could never make them happy anyway. It doesn't matter how perfect you were. It would not be enough because they don't feel like they're enough, you know?
Exactly. Or they don't want to go ahead and do what you have already achieved, so they will pull it down. I've had that many times.
They don't have the courage to step into their greatness. And so as they watch you step into your lane, they want to hold you back because they feel uncomfortable, right? They want to light a little.
Absolutely.
So
I've
how
had that
awesome.
experience, that, and even with all my books that I've done, because I love to write. That's how I love to express myself and
Right.
talk about real deep stuff, because it helps other people with their deep stuff.
Right.
And, you know, you're always going to have a negative Nelly in your life, but if you choose to believe them, that is your own free will.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think people don't give themselves enough credit. People don't want to listen to their inner compass and their inner guidance. They're like, well, what do you think? What do you think? Should we do this? You know, that there's always
I didn't.
that validation.
I didn't for years. I was publishing consulting for years. And people were like, oh, it's so amazing. You help so many people write books. I'm like, yeah, but it's killing me. You know, it was dragging my soul every single time, because each and every individual person, it was a lot of work building their success, building people looking at them, getting them on TV, and all in the time it would be me that would then walk away, and I've not considered my own
not
life.
Feel really fulfilled, like your soul wasn't fulfilled by it. It's like I have a paycheck to show for it, but my soul is not being nurtured and being fulfilled, basically.
Because my own entire goal of this journey when I started writing was because my grandmother was an amazing woman. She died 10 years ago, and she died in a year where technology had just come in. Mm-hmm. And if she'd have been able to document everything, because even I think about her now, even when she's gone for 10 years, she was that massive impact on my life, and she couldn't document anything. Well, now I'm the grandmother.
Right.
And I've got that influence of my grandmother in me, and I want to document every little feeling, every little word, every little experience, every little expression, so that when my granddaughter becomes my age, she can stand in front of a bookshelf and pick any book that she wants off there, and her grandmother's going to be speaking back to her.
Oh,
and that's
I love that.
Years, and I've had that vision in my mind, but what happened is I put that vision on hold to help everybody else succeed. And I stopped my legacy, and I stopped. So that image kept popping through my mind. But then
How old is she? How old is she now, your granddaughter?
She's 4 this year. So I was putting all that on hold for what's going to be in the future when I'm not here no more, and I've got 100 books and my granddaughter can read, and she will pore over them and she will love them, because it'll be like I'm sat next to her.
Right.
I'm talking to her.
She'll hear your voice.
Yeah. Exactly. There's plenty of videos of me on YouTube.
Do they live close enough that you can get together and see often, or do they live far away?
No, they only live about 20 minutes away. So I see a lot of her in my life, but I know and accept that I won't be around here forever. And if I've got the same influence upon her that my grandmother had the influence upon me, but my grandmother wasn't in a time where she could document it all, where everything's so easy to do.
Right.
Exactly.
You can even do videos, Kate. You can even do a video series for her, just for her, so that she, you know, it's more tangible than just reading words.
Yeah, there is that as well. Yeah. I've got of letters that I've written to her, and I'm writing them while I'm going through my life. So I'm calling them, they're called Dear Rosie, and eventually I'm going to put them into a book and call it.
Yeah, I was going to say that would be an awesome book.
It's going to be called Letters to Rosie. So it's actually a personal thing for her, but it's going to be amongst the books. Like I said, I placed all that on hold. Right. To help other people's success, and that's why it was grating at my soul, because I wasn't doing what my legacy intended. What
your soul work is, but now I'm so glad you came back to it. I know. Tell me what this is, a CBT therapist to the
CBT therapist, a cognitive behavior therapist. So it's basically a posh word for life coach. It's basically dealing with behavioral patterns and why we think why we do and why we do what we do, which is basically like life coaching, but there's a more therapy side of it. So like in life coaching, it's basically the same. You've got a problem, you come see the life coach, and the life coach gives you goals and exercises to move forward. So that's basically the same thing. So it's just a posh word for life coaching, but it's just got a bit of slight therapy counselling in there as well. So they give it a whole new title.
Okay. So you're doing that as well. That's a part of your practice in addition to this.
Well, what's gonna happen is, because I'm at university and I'm taking my psychology degree now, so I do that part-time as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to bring the CBT therapy into the events. So this is where it's going to connect together. So I'm not doing a private practice or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm doing is helping people with anxiety and social anxiety. So they're going to come to these events. They're going to be taught how to be social. They're going to be taught how to help with their anxiety. And then they're going to be put in a social position with people surrounding them. And it's going to be fun. So like the first day will be teaching them what's good about them, how to get through their anxiety, how to deal with it, and how to get over social anxiety. And then the second day is going to be, right, now you've got the tools, now you've got to use them, because I'm going to put you in a social atmosphere, you're going to have fun.
Almost like a workshop for people with anxiety. It's a workshop giving tools.
Mm-hmm.
I found people who have anxiety, if they can focus on grounding themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Anxiety. I was just talking to someone this morning about that who was feeling anxious. Anxiety is distortion and creation in your mind, right? So all these thoughts start swirling, and then it creates like a visceral and physical response to that. And it's like a freight train. It just starts to build and kind of run away. You know,
absolutely.
Feel like you've lost complete control. But it seems like grounding is a very helpful tool to just bring yourself back to center, ground yourself energetically, and
just learning how to relive your life in a better, more practical way that's not overwhelming, and not feeling like you have very little time to do stuff, or it's just a whole new different pattern of thinking. So I didn't want to do anything like everybody else. You know, everybody else out there who says they're a CBT therapist or a life coach, hey, pay me 10 grand and I'll change your life. You know, I didn't want to do that. I thought, right, people are isolated, people have got social anxiety, people have got issues, mums are at home by themselves with the babies, with their kids, or they've grown up and left home, they don't know what to do with themselves. I'm going to bring all these mums together, and I'm going to cleverly construct an event where it's either going out for the day to the ladies' races, or having coffee mornings, or weekends away camping, and they're not going to know that they're going to be put in. They're not going to know. They're going to be too busy having fun.
Right. It'll accidentally happen because they're just there, right?
Exactly.
Well, they won't even realize or have to overthink it. They're just as a product of the experience, they'll be feeling in a way. So I love that concept.
And the therapy comes into it by sitting around and chatting to each other and asking open-ended questions, which then makes them think, which they don't realize they're actually in a therapy situation. They just think they're in a social situation, having plenty of fun.
Also, too, realizing that you're not alone is a huge component.
Exactly. Huge.
Isolation it's so hard when people are suffering. They want to isolate, right? They want to retreat. They don't want to go out and socialize, or because it creates too much anxiety. So to know that they're not alone, because when you're home, you are alone. You're alone with it. And then that kind of, it fuels the fire a little bit because you're stuck in a loop and pattern, right? So how beautiful. I can't wait to see where this goes.
I know, I'm looking forward to it because there's not a lot online. So the only thing that's going to be online is my books. That's it. I'm going to carry on with my podcast so that people know that I'm still alive. And then
well, tell us how to find your podcast. Where are you? You have to send me a link so I can put that down below. And
it's on iTunes, and it's called 15 Minutes to Motivation. So it's on there. I can send you the link for it.
Yes,
anyway.
Please do. So I'll drop it in to the video, and people can tune into you and get your amazing wisdom. You sure have had a lot of life experience and done a lot of healing to take you to bring you to this place.
I haven't got a website. I'd give you the address, but I pulled it down after quitting publishing consulting because I was like, no, I've got to redo this. I can't put myself out there as something that I'm not doing. It'd be
Right.
like, no, it's
So
completely
you're
rubbish.
reworking your website right now.
Yeah, reworking it for the company is called Fugitive Mums. The reason we call it Fugitive Mums is because every mum's going to be on the run from their normal everyday life, and they're going to have. So we're on the roads from my life, from my husband's, from my children, and we're going to get together and have fun and be a mum on
Sounds
the road.
awesome. That sounds like a winning formula, Kate. I don't know any mom that would turn that down.
Exactly, and we're going to host. I'm just going to be an event organizer and invent fun, happy times that these mums are going to memorize, and they're going to be in this event where it's social. I mean, it could be camping for the weekend, just with mums and letting them sit around and talk and express
Right.
how they feel.
What a
That's
gift.
huge.
That's huge. And not have to feel like they're in therapy, you know?
Exactly.
Be just, hey, let's just hang out and share our experiences and collaborate and love each other and support each other, because I think there's so much competition too when you're, you know, just, gosh, I lived in a community. It was so competitive. It never felt like I was enough. You know, I wasn't a good enough mom, or my kids weren't good enough, or ridiculous, because we're all doing our best. Our kids are amazing, and they are who they are, and you know, it's all perfect. But you're conditioned by society to feel
pressure,
pressure, like you're not
pressured,
you're less than, or they're not hitting the mark or something, you know.
And it doesn't help that you have all these articles that come through your newsfeed on Facebook or any social media channel. Well, scientists say, or psychologists say, that mums should do this, or mums should be doing this, or mums should be doing that. And you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not doing that. Oh my gosh, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, you're falling short in like all these ways. And you're like, oh my gosh. But I think the number one thing is follow your instincts. Follow your heart.
Exactly like I am right now. And
follow your heart. It's huge.
And I want to be able to sit around with women and say, like, drink a few glasses of wine and let's talk shit. That's it. They won't think it's therapy at all. They'll be like, oh yeah, all right then. Let them cry, let them laugh, let them have unity.
I feel like there's definitely a healing in the telling too. There's a healing in the telling of your story.
Absolutely. And just giving them that space to allow them to do that. So that is what I'm working towards right now.
I love that. I love that. Well, I always ask, you know, what has been the most pivotal piece of advice or lesson that has moved you from point A to point B to where you are now? You know, there's so many people out there who are going through life transitions and at crossroads and experiencing, you know, an element of discomfort in their lives. Is there something that really helped you when you were just in the dark, you know, in those dark spaces?
It comes back to the question that I've placed in my life now. Do what makes you happy. Is this making me truly happy? And when we can say that because it's just a sentence or it's just a few words, but I want to really let you absorb that and take responsibility for that. And when it hits you, when you really take it serious, you're like, oh my gosh, how long have I been doing stuff that haven't made me happy for? And then you start listing them. And you're like, I better seriously get them out of my life. So it's a serious principle that you have to digest, accept, and realize that in order for you to have the life, you have to do what makes you happy. Not what makes your dog happy, not what makes your cousin happy,
right?
Not what makes your husband happy. You have to do what makes you happy. And if something doesn't make you happy, get rid of it, because the best is yet to come.
You don't need an excuse. You don't need an excuse to walk away from something. It just doesn't resonate, so it's just a no.
Because you have to see that if you're keeping that there, you're not allowing room for the best to come yet. So you're just keeping it crowded. So pull it out. Yes, it's going to hurt. Yes, people are not going to like it, but it's tough crap.
Right.
I don't want to die with regrets.
Right.
Here lies Kate Batten after she built everybody else's success and forgot about her own legacy. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I want to go back to that vision of my granddaughter up to this bookshelf with loads of books on it that I had written or grown the Missing Piece book series by helping other people share their stories as well. That was my main legacy, and that's what I need to work towards.
I'm glad you came full circle and found yourself again.
So am I. I think my dog is as well, because
our dogs, they absorb our emotions.
Oh, exactly.
They absorb our stuff emotionally. And so
he seems happier.
The happier your dog's going to be too, because they're not process all your emotional stuff, That's one of their roles is to...
We have to see what the baggage is doing to us overall in health as well. Because after I'd made that choice of only doing what made me happy, I dropped 2 dress sizes.
Wow.
I dropped over 15 pounds
Amazing.
Because I was emotionally eating through it as well.
Right.
So that is another thing that I will be talking about in my books as well, emotional eating. Being overweight because I was happy where I was. I give up what I was doing that made me miserable. I stopped eating. I lost weight.
Incredible.
Another thing.
Incredible. So there are all kinds of benefits, right?
Exactly.
And just following your heart.
Mm-hmm.
Your heart too. Just opening your heart completely.
Doing what makes you happy.
I just honor your journey. Thank you so much for all this amazing wisdom you shared. I can't wait to promote the book that you're working on, and I'll put the title of the book that you were holding up earlier so people can find it. You're on Amazon, I'm guessing, or The Missing Piece Spirituality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. The subtitle is Stories and Spiritual Principles That Will Change the Way You Think Forever. There's 3 other people in this book with stories that were near death. And I thought my story was bad. One of the guys that was in the book fell from a 24-story building and broke every bone in his back and his neck. And now he's a bodybuilder.
What? The human spirit and the human mind is limitless.
It's unbelievable. When I read
what we can come back from is incredible. It's so inspiring.
Exactly, and I thought my experience was bad until he wrote his story and I read it and I was like, okay, you win.
Well, I'm glad he's part of your book so that he can inspire the rest of us, That's so
I mean, that's amazing. Who can fall that many floors and on the verge of death? He was strapped to a bed for many, many months, couldn't walk, and now he's a health coach and he helps people work out.
There's something really powerful that comes from tragedy.
Absolutely.
That you cannot be unchanged by having experiences like that. Yours, where you experience this deep, deep sorrow and loss, and his from being a vibrant, healthy individual to completely immobilized and laid out where you have nothing but your thoughts.
Yeah.
When your thoughts 24/7, I mean, that's going to create some change.
Absolutely.
Something major is going to happen.
Absolutely.
When you're given that experience.
In Rob's story, he actually says he must have laid there 20 times a day saying, I want to die. I want to die. I just want to die. Because he had no life, because he was paralyzed completely from the neck down. He was like, I just want to die. I just want to die. So
one day he must have changed his story and
he did.
Wanted to live at some point, because look what he's transformed into. But he had to go through all of that process, all of that suffering and grief. And I think that's another pivotal thing is we can't, all of us, none of us can get to this point in our lives without some sort of deep, dark suffering.
No, I think trauma can change you for the better, and it's the refining process that we have to go through. So it's acceptance. It's accepting what's happened to you and then going on and doing better from it. Now, I could have stayed in a mode of being in anguish and pain and, bitterness of saying, why did you have to take my daughter's first son away, and all of this. Or I could turn that energy into positive, see the need where it was needed in that situation, which we was experiencing, but then deliver it to somebody else so it's less painful.
Right.
And that's what I did with the gowns.
Right. I love that. I love your work. I honor your work. I honor you.
Thank you
So much for joining us today.
You're most welcome.
Yeah,
I apologize for coughing in everybody's ear.
No, I think you did great. I think you did great. To my audience, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you'll check out Kate's book and all of her Missing Piece series, which is available on Amazon, I believe. Right, Kate?
Oh, absolutely. Just placing the Missing Piece and my name, and it will
come up. Kate Batten. She's an amazing woman. She's awesome. And to all of you, I hope you'll check out my other interviews. Check out my YouTube channel. Subscribe, like, and share. Have an awesome day. I love y'all. We'll see you next time. Bye.